I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
The notice requirements of the Open Public Meetings Act for this meeting have been met by transmitting the notice of the regular meeting to the Commissioner's official newspaper on February 3rd, 2022, posting the notice where required, and filing a copy of the notice with the Commission Clerk. The Deal Lake Commission meeting will be audio and videotaped and will be shown on APTV, Optimum 77, and throughout most of Monmouth County on FiOS 28. Allenhurst.
Here.
Asbury Park.
Yes.
Deal. Interlaken.
Yes.
Lock Arbor.
Here.
Neptune.
Yeah, here.
Ocean.
Here.
Great, we have a full
May I
house.
note that Deal did correspond back, and their families in Italy on break.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
Tonight we have a resolution to approve the minutes of the regular meeting from May 19th, 2022. Someone please offer.
I'll offer.
Second.
I'll second. Asbury Park.
Thank you. Allenhurst. Bruce? Oh, Bruce shouldn't vote because he wasn't there. We'll have him abstain. Asbury Park.
Yes.
Interlaken.
Yes.
Lock Arbor.
Yes.
Neptune.
Yes.
Ocean.
Yes.
And tonight we have resolution 2237, a resolution authorizing the Deal Lake Commission environmental consultant and engineer to prepare and submit the American Recovery Grant application. That was the grant. What was that, the FY 2022 grant
correct.
done?
That's correct.
Steve,
Okay, someone,
could you explain that? Is this for infrastructure? What is this for?
No, this, yes, well, this is for, so we submitted one in February, okay? That was under harmful algae bloom grant application, and that was for infrastructure. That was essentially to continue the work that is being done right now with the existing grant. This one is Build America Better money. It's basically federal money, that's been obtained by the state. But long story short, with the project that we focused on there was stormwater improvements in the Seaview Square Mall area, and a section of the stream that leads from the mall, into the Terrace Pond area. But it's all work that's being done essentially right around the mall area.
Okay.
But it's stormwater infrastructure. Yep.
Right, great. And the application to prepare, you always do a wonderful job in getting us, writing the grants and getting them. I just had a question about the cost of $3,000. That is above the $7,000 annual
Yes.
contract, right?
yes.
Okay.
Right. That's LS, that's both Avakian and myself.
Oh, okay.
And it's coming out of lake maintenance.
Oh, it's coming out. It's okay.
It's coming out of lake maintenance.
Great. Thank you.
You're welcome. Will someone please offer the resolution?
So moved.
Second.
I'll second. Asbury Park.
Okay, so whereas the Deal Lake Commission hereby authorizes Dr. Stephen Souza of Clean Water Consulting as environmental consultant for Deal Lake Commission, and Peter R. Avakian, PE of Leon S. Avakian Inc. Commission engineer, to prepare and submit the application for the American Recovery Grant at a cost not to exceed $3,000. Allenhurst? Bruce?
Sorry. Yes.
Asbury Park?
Yes.
Interlaken?
Yes.
Lock Arbor?
Yes.
Neptune?
Yes.
Ocean?
Yes.
Great. And
Oh,
next,
Steve, one more question. What about that grant? What is the maximum award? Do you know? What are we applying for? How much? Up, you're muted.
$998,000.
998, I'm sorry. Yeah.
Okay.
Right.
And remember, that's a group effort. We got the okay from Monmouth County. We got the agreement with the mall owner,
Right.
Deal Lake Watershed Alliance, and also Ocean Township. So it was a quick turnaround, and it was amazing that we got everybody on board with that. So I was very, very happy. And everybody's very excited about getting it done. So it's not gonna solve all the problems in CV Mall, but it definitely is gonna help.
Yeah.
So let's move on.
It's definitely a step in the right direction, and kudos to the commission with respect to getting all the letters of support and letters of commitment, because we had a really, really tight time frame within which to prepare all the materials. Peter's office did outstanding work, because this is all, it gets really complicated. All has to be uploaded to the Sage website, which is not the easiest website to navigate. So it takes a lot of time and effort to get these things together.
We got it done two days ahead of time. And then the Sunday that I was going to close, we got notice that they're extending it 2 weeks, Steve.
Yeah, it's actually, I think it was, they were due yesterday.
Yeah, and it didn't make us too happy. Let's put it that way.
Yeah, I just want to say this. I heard from Mayor Moore. He said to communicate this to Peter, that usually he would say, you want it when? Because I think we gave him 2 days, and he reads everything. So, and what he said to me, well, if you're approving it, and if Peter Avakian is for it and approving it, then I'm okay with it. So that's why he didn't hold it up. He went ahead and signed it. He said to tell you that, Peter. So I just want you to know.
Thanks. He's part of our team now. He's doing a great job.
Yeah.
Okay. Resolution 2238, a resolution to approve the treasurer's report and pay bills. Bruce, do you have the report?
I do.
Thank you.
So the total on deposit at the beginning of the month was $156,365.76. We had total receipts of $29,811.47. There were disbursements totaling $8,035.01. The total on deposit at the end of the month was $178,142.22.
Thank you. Someone please offer the resolution to approve the treasurer's report and pay bills.
I'll offer.
Second,
I'll second.
Allenhurst,
Yes.
Asbury Park,
Yes.
Interlaken,
Yes.
Lock Arbor,
Yes.
Neptune,
Yes.
Ocean.
Yes.
Okay.
I have a question about that. We're still, the treasurer's reports were behind in getting them posted. Ken kept asking for them. Who should be submitting the treasurer's reports to Ken, Jesse?
I can put them to you, but they're in the minutes every month.
But
Every
Ken's
month they're in
name,
minutes.
Ken's name was supposed to be added to the email, the list. The email list goes out for the commission, and I'm pretty sure Ken got it.
No,
No,
he
no.
doesn't have them.
I never sent them because they were always part of the minutes and no one ever requested them before. If you want me to start sending the bill list to Ken, I'll start sending the bill list to Ken.
Yeah, I mean, yeah.
They're part of, like I said, they're part of the minutes. It's not a problem.
Yeah.
You'll send them separately, you mean?
Yes, I will send them separately
Does that help?
every month.
Does that
Even
help,
though
Ken?
They're part of the minutes.
I
Yeah.
know, but it doesn't get posted that way.
No.
He has them as separate spots. So
Oh, okay.
we had
Okay.
talked about that a while back, though. That's
Okay, not a problem.
okay. I thought, I'll be honest, I didn't think you were sending it. I thought our CFO was sending them. So
No, no.
that's okay.
Okay, good. That's a good thing to know, that they'll come
That's
from
wonderful.
now on as a separate
Yes.
treasurer's report.
Okay. I'm gonna go right into old business. 319 grant. I got some updates for you on that. Peter's got the first one. I got the second one. Peter, you want to talk about the rain gardens?
No. Don, chairman of the Deal Lake Commission, Don, chairman of the Wesley Lake Commission, Gail Rosewater, and I had the opportunity to meet with Ocean Grove Camp Meeting Association, their CFO and the president of the trustees. And out of their conservative nature, they raised a number of issues that we brought back with us, and I will be reviewing them with both Steve and Jack in an effort to give Ocean Grove the information they desire to make sure that their property is developed the way they want it to be, and they don't have any underlying either maintenance or long-term issues with the rain garden project. On one hand, you can look at it as being a little overly burdensome. On the other hand, you can look at it as being their governance of their own property. So we accept that, and we're going to give them things like a operation and maintenance manual for the rain garden, the soil mix used, and whether there's an attractive nuisance to bringing mosquitoes into the types of vegetation that Jack designed into the rain garden. They want the right to observe and maintain as necessary, but they would like someone else to be responsible for the overall maintenance, which we're working on getting the Wesley Lake Commission to do that. And a couple specific questions on the species and endangered species possibility there. So we're working on it. It's a little more than we bargained for, but we'll do it for us.
The time frame is tough because we got to get this awarded by, the October time frame.
Yeah.
Maybe get it completed by then. So.
Oh,
And
we're
I'll
kinda
work with
pushing it.
Jack because the issue is going to be one of funding. So I think what we want to do is we want to get it out to bid in the summertime and construction commenced. They would rather have construction in October, but we really need it to start a little before then because we have to expend the grant monies, at least allocate the grant monies by October.
It's gonna be, Jack's out of pocket right now. He's not, he's on extended leave. So Steve's gonna have to help you out on that. I think.
Okay.
Steve, you're on that, right?
Yeah, I owe Steve some information. I told him
Okay.
we would get it, but I think he and I will have a phone conversation and I'll provide everything to Steve.
There was a discussion about about mosquitoes.
Yep.
So,
It always comes up. We'll have that resolved. There's no standing water. They're designed to drain within 72 hours, and it's specifically to, prevent anything like that from happening.
got it. Okay. In addition to that, I visited myself and Barb from the Sunset Lake Commission. Visited the 3 MTDs, 2 at Sunset and 1 at Comstock. I want to show you. It's pretty exciting stuff. So let me,
We don't want to see that.
you do want to see it. It's really special.
No.
It's wild. There we go. So this was these were the ones at Sunset.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Told you we didn't want to see that.
It was a lot of stuff. I opened it up the wrong one first, and it was all sediment and leaves and grass clippings, as you can see in the back here. It was unbelievable. And then we went to the next area and had all the styrofoam and cups and plates from all those parties at the beach. It was quite an event. And then you can see the sediment there. The big one at Comstock was this one here. That was massive. That was 2 full black bags of debris that was there. So they're definitely working. We did not check out the one at Memorial, but hopefully next week we can stop over there with a couple of volunteers and clear them out. And we coordinated that with Robert Pancini of Asbury. So he gave us okay. And we got that done. So I was just interested in seeing how they're doing, and they're doing just wonderful. So we should be
Did
very
you send
proud of
it-
those improvements.
Don, did you send those pictures to Asbury Park
No, I don't have.
to
no,
show
I-
them what
I
we've done
just-
for them?
I just got them. I'm still cleaning off the
You
mud
should
from my
send them.
boots.
Thanks for the scenery.
Yeah, we'll get them out. We'll get them out. I'll get them on Facebook and you guys can see them.
Yeah.
So, next one, the phase 1 NJIT. I have no words from NJIT, still rolling along with their effort, but they should be coming down soon. I don't think I see any blue-green algae in the lake, so I think they're probably waiting for that. Nobility Crest, I had a chat on that. I did not have the opportunity to call Nobility, I'm sorry, the Amboy Bank this week, but hopefully next week I'll have a report next month for you on that. But we're all zeroing in at projects, not only Nobility Crest problem, but the Cedar Village pond. I think there's an agreement between the both. So a lot of the things we had problems with, Cedar Village also had problems with. So there's discussions going on down that road also. Shoreline protection update, I have nothing for you other than, I'll talk about within the tree ordinance, I'll talk a little bit about that. The exciting thing is the goose update, and I want to go over that. Jeannie and I had a meeting, I think 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
And we had a very productive meeting, and we both basically decided we're going to propose, and I just kind of want a straw man. Let me tell you a summary, a real quick summary. We believe, Jeannie and I believe that we should take this on, the DLA Commission, and we should bill the associated, the towns accordingly, based on the percentage, just on the shoreline. The cost that we're looking at, I think it was 60, I'm sorry, Jeannie, what was that? That was about $4,000.
Yeah, 4,000 for all, the entire lake.
And right now they're getting charged 6,400. So even from just the current towns, the 3 towns are involved, they're spending 6,400, and we could do the whole lake for 4,000. But we want to share that with all the towns. And this is our pitch. You know, are you guys willing to do that? Can we get a straw man vote on that? Whether we want to take this on, because we really have to move out and talk to USDA and get a formal quote from them. I don't want to waste their time and ours if you guys are not for that. So we would approach each town down the road and ask them if they want to participate. I think at least if we get four of the 7 towns, we should be good.
It would be based on the percentage, just like the right now that the towns pay into the commission. Their, you know, how everything is determined by lakefront. So that's what that would be based on. But as Don's saying, it would be significantly cheaper, and then the entire lake would be covered. It saves the USDA in time and administrative fees. So, you know, that's the reason for that. Okay, I'm going to mute a minute.
And the big issue on that is we have to have approval from each town to go on their land. And like Lock Harbor, I'm more concerned with the railroad tracks in Lock Harbor than anything else. Not really the shoreline. They don't really have. I never saw a goose nest over there, to be honest with you. I'm more concerned about the railroad tracks. Allenhurst is already on board, I believe. Interlaken's on board, Ocean's on board, and Asbury Park has to be on board. They're probably they're the biggest damages that we're talking about. So,
Well, I can tell you this, the remediation has been tremendously successful in Allenhurst. I haven't seen any geese over here at all.
that's good.
So the only place I see them anymore is over Ocean Township, near Fireman's Pond. They love it over there, and they hold up the traffic constantly. But anyway, I given as well as they've done for us here, I don't know if it'd be a great idea for us to be on board. But if the town wants to do it, that's fine with me. But whoever we're using now has done a great job in Allenhurst anyway.
It's an overall effort. It's good. I have seen some baby geese around over by the pumping station. I saw some in Winnemassa, but it's not as bad as it had been. That's for sure. But what do you guys think? Can we get a straw vote, Jesse? Whether we should continue with
Wait, I need more information. Is it just addling the eggs?
only addling the eggs? Correct. It's exactly what the USDA is doing now. And we'd just be the overseer. Instead of getting 3 or 4 contracts, she would only.
Right. No, yeah.
Us. And by the way, none of the towns that have the contracts now, they're 100% deal lake. There's no overlap to parks or anything like. I always thought Interlake did their park. They don't. I thought Ocean Township did Joe Playa Park. They don't. It's the girl only does the lake, Deal Lake specifically.
Okay, let's move on.
So, do a straw vote there, Jesse?
I'm sorry?
Can we do a straw vote on whether we should?
I thought you were asking. Go ahead.
Okay.
We're not going to make a resolution out of it, but
You want to raise your hand if you're good with it?
We can't speak for our town. I don't know whether they'd be okay with it or not.
I know, but I mean, I just talk about our about us as commission.
I think what you're asking, Don, I don't mean to speak for you, but I think what you're asking is, are we willing to speak to our towns about this?
Exactly. Are we supportive of the project?
We as commissioners, and then go to our towns with this plan once we've got a plan.
Right. We'll get the quote first, and then we propose it. Right.
We'll give it to everybody, and then, from that point, then we'll start to talk to the towns about it.
We'll have it by mid-August, I think. And because we have to nail it down before mid-September, October timeframe, because that's when they usually start the process. So we want to have it all nailed down, because if it fails, then the towns that have it are going to go back to what they're doing now, which is spending more tax money. So we're actually going to save taxpayer money, which is great.
And the really good thing about it is that the entire lake, because if only a few towns are doing it, the geese fly from one town, they don't know borders, so they're going from one place to the other. And
Spring Lake, we wanted to go to Spring Lake.
So
right, well, I'm going to continue. We're going to move on. The carp, Steve, can you apply for that permit for the carp? Because we're gonna, we'll have August, September, I guess we can do it, right? But we can't, I think it's past the just past the spawning
We have
season.
to be outside of the spawning season for bass, so
Yeah.
I'll put that application in immediately. Then I have it filled out. I'll just put, so they're going to ask for a date, so should we identify essentially September through October or something like that?
August, September, that's it.
Okay, August, September,
And
we'll do.
We'll
Okay.
probably do, the terrace pond section as a demonstration project, maybe some other small areas, but definitely that, and maybe over by the golf course, Deal Golf Course.
Yeah, well, okay, that's how I had set it up originally, but I'll add the terrace pond area as well.
Okay.
so Don, we need to have another meeting for our next stage, the goose.
We'll talk about that offline, Jeannie.
Yeah, okay, I'm just reminding you.
The restoration of ponds. Peter, do we have any word from Ocean Township yet? Uh-oh, I lost Peter. Steve, you haven't heard anything, have you? About what?
Sorry, what I was writing down, what did you, in terms of what?
The terrace pond and also Fireman's Pond was going to get dredged.
I haven't heard anything about that.
No. Okay, we'll go back. We'll come back to Peter on that. Water testing. I think we got some really nice responses recently from Jeannie's emails. A couple, right, Jeannie?
Oh, yeah, we have all of the areas that Clonette and Dr. Adolph wants to cover, that they feel it need to be covered, are covered. We had an environmental scientist from Interlaken respond to the e-blast that went out week before last. Very interested, and he's going to begin getting trained tomorrow. So, and that's it. And we've covered every area that needs to be tested.
Who was that, by the way, Jeannie?
His name is Brendan. I can't remember the last name, but
Gifford, Eagle Scout Troop 71. Just want to add that.
What?
I do. He's one of my Boy Scouts.
Oh, good.
He's
Okay.
now grown up, got a big time job, and
Wow, good.
he loves fishing in a lake. He's killing the fish. He's doing wonderful. He's not killing them, but he's catching them and releasing them. He's doing great. He's really enjoying it. He fishes a lot, so he knows the lake. It's actually, he's the one that took the video of the river otters recently.
Oh, okay.
So he's the one who spotted them on the South Winnemesset Drive over that area.
So what he'll be doing now is once a week test the sampler, once a week, and then when it gets colder, it's twice a month.
And Pete, you had I'm sorry, Pete, I'm sorry. Steve, you had a really good recommendation to the Clonette folks yesterday. I think today. You want to talk?
Yeah. So the North American Lake Management Society, we always do the we put in the whole thing about Lake Appreciation Month, the resolution. That's the word I was searching for. But in addition to that, what they do is they have a database, and every 4th of July, it could be 4th of July through the end of July, doesn't really make that much of a difference. But any lake that wants to participate can measure the clarity of their water body and then submit the data to NOMS So, I sent out an email about that and link to it, and Jason is going to run with that.
Right,
So it'll be another way for the commission to get recognition through the North American Lake Management Society. But I mean, it's a program that's been going on now for over 25 years.
Yep.
And it's pretty cool because then you can go on the database and look at what the clarity is of various lakes throughout the entire nation in the middle of the summer,
Gotcha.
July. So
Gotcha. Great.
pretty cool program.
Okay, weed update. Weed update, we got the contracts out
Yep.
pretty quick. And
Yeah.
it was a little
It was
snafu
the
in them
mail.
receiving it. The postal system didn't work. But what's really the reality is they're having trouble getting material. I don't know if you knew that, Steve.
Yeah, I was in touch with them. I wanted to get a sense. I know they were. I know there's a problem with getting the product delivered. But in addition to that, they had thought they could do some like a treatment potentially this week, but with the rain, they wanted to hold off, which was a good thing. But in any event, yeah, they're having a little bit of an issue, supply chain issue, with getting the Priscilla core.
And it,
That should be resolved pretty quickly.
they said the prices went up dramatically. That's why our prices went up this year. So it's amazing. If you got a pool in your house, the cost of chlorine is almost doubled. So pretty amazing. Anyway, that's going to happen next week. They're in discussions with the golf course. So the golf course people are connected with with Princeton Hydro. So that's good news story. So
And there's no use restriction. I mean, you can irrigate the same day
right.
that they treat, but I mean, if the golf course wants to, be conservative, they can be conservative, and Princeton Hydro is definitely going to be working with them on that. But
Right.
yeah, they're keeping me posted as to what's going on with that.
Okay, thanks. Any questions, anything? Okay. The new 319 submission was done. All the lakes I know have submitted their documents and grant applications, and no one has heard anything. So is that correct, Steve?
Oh, yeah. I mean, nobody's heard anything. And this is for the grant that was submitted back, the February grant that was submitted at the beginning of March. We were supposed to get notice on that in April. And here we are, almost at the end of the middle of June, and nothing as of yet. So, yeah, it's kind of discouraging. But so that's that 13 million that was for, publicly managed lakes.
So with that said, we did get a phone call from them on how we're floating, why we're submitting floating wetlands, and we had such problems with floating wetlands. And I said, we went back, we said, we really didn't have problems. We had experiences, and we had issues, and we tried to correct them. And one lake is spectacular and the other lake has issues. That's the Westerly Lake has the wind issues and maybe salt air and various other things. But I got a quick photo for you. I'll share of the Sunset wetlands, and they are just tremendous. I don't know
Sunset ones look great.
They are just wonderful. They got flowers. I think they're the irises that are in full bloom here in this photo.
So remember, each one of those islands is basically sucking up annually about 12 pounds of phosphorus. So that doesn't sound like a lot, but every 1 pound of phosphorus supports about 1,000 pounds of algae.
Wow.
So that, when you see that much growth, those floating wetland islands are really doing, and it's all passive treatment. So it's doing a really good job.
Yep.
That's great.
And I mentioned, I don't know if I mentioned this last meeting, but the DEP is doing a study for the federal government on lakes in our state. There's a handful of lakes. Sunset Lake was picked. They were in there 2 weeks ago doing fish samples, electrofishing, taking the samples out. And last week they actually went in and did the chemical analysis of the water. So all that's being combined with other lake locations in the state, a selected few that the federal government picked. So considering Sunset flows in a deal lake, I was pretty excited about that. So it should reflect some of our problems and our pluses. And I'm really dying to see if they took samples around the floating wetlands, how the water turns out. So we should have that data. Unfortunately, the guy said probably in 3 years.
It's crazy.
But I don't, I gave him my business card, asked him to email me the information, but I didn't get it yet. I couldn't find it online. Do you know what that study is, Steve?
I'm not sure. I would really have to go and take a look at it. If it's something that is being done through the EPA, so it's probably one of, so EPA every 5 years tries to do some type of assessment, a national assessment of water quality in lakes and streams and rivers and stuff. So it's probably part of that, but I'll go chase that down, figure out what's going on with that.
I got, hopefully the guy responds to my business card one of these days, but it was great. It was great to see the state, boats in the water. So they were in there doing the fishing and doing the water testing. So they were there for quite a long time. Okay. With the stormwater grant that we just talked about, we're waiting for that. For that result, hopefully, I'll keep my fingers crossed on that. Surf rider cleanup, July 7th. They had a little snafu. They were trying to use the Deal Lake Boat Dock Company for their fleet services to get on the lake. But it seems like they're not in operation anymore. Do you know anything about that, Jeannie?
Oh, do I know anything about Surf Rider?
No. Do you know anything about the Deal Lake Dock Company in Asbury? They're supposed. I don't. Who has the latest contract for the
I don't know.
Yeah. Maybe you can check on that for next meeting. It's
Okay.
There's no one operating as far. There was some movement today.
Brian's not there anymore then?
He hasn't been there. There was some movement of boats today, but that was it. That's all I saw.
Okay.
All right. Let me keep moving. But surf riders are on board. They're actually going to use somebody else I think from Shark River, the Shark River group. They're going to bring kayaks in for that. And they're going to start at the boat dock or the boat ramp at that day. 22 assessment update. Jesse, you want to give that?
Yes, everyone's paid except Allenhurst and Asbury Park.
Okay.
Okay, I'll reach out for Asbury.
Bruce, you got to shake some trees, at least the ones that are left.
Okay, I'll talk to some people. I don't know what the problem is. We're usually the first ones to pay.
Yeah, that's my.
Maybe you didn't send the bill. Did you send
I
the
did
bill?
send. I sent the bill.
Better send another one.
Okay.
We'll send
it.
Really, we're the first ones to pay. That's strange.
Yeah.
I mean, if you want to send it to me and I'll forward it, Jesse, with a couple of sentences before, I'll do that. But otherwise, I would suggest doing the same thing.
Yeah. Did everybody pass their budgets yet? Because sometimes they wait till they pass their budget.
That's true. Yeah.
I think they have. I think they're through that. Yeah.
Okay, I'll send second request.
Thank you.
Okay, one more thing on old business we forgot, Jesse. The USGA, USGS, what is that? Pete, help me out here. It's USGS, right? USGS study on blue-green algae, I believe. And they're going to be starting up a study, I think it's another $500,000 study in Deal Lake. They're going to put sensors in various different spots around the lake, and we're just trying to get a grasp of what they're going to be doing. We don't know all that yet.
Yeah, I mean, basically, I think what they're really looking at is how coastal lakes, the transfer of cyanobacteria, the blue-green algae, and associated toxins from inland water bodies to coastal areas, okay? And then what type of implication that has on estuaries and oceans. So, yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I think there'll be a lot of monitoring. It's nothing that's going to be done that actually looks at resolving the problem.
Correct.
In Deal Lake. But, how does the problem impact the ocean? That's their primary goal with this study.
They sent us a picture. They were going to put a sonot buoy, or I think it was a Sony buoy or some kind of sensor.
It's a data sonde. Yeah. So it's essentially it's similar to what Dr. Adolph uses. So it's a monitoring device, and they'll be measuring probably phycocyanin and chlorophyll A. So these indicators of algae blooms and cyanobacteria blooms.
And they were going to do that at the end, literally at the end of the flume. And we suggested they move that because I can see every fisherman hooking his line on that or a
Yeah.
surfer running into it. So we're going to move them back to the surge chamber, and they seem to like that idea. So
Yeah, I think that was a really good idea. I think it'll be more protected. I think it'll be a more uniform flow through there.
Yep.
So, they'll probably get better data, and it won't be subject to as much possible impact.
yeah, we should have a lot more information on that next meeting, by the way. Okay,
Perfect.
new business. Any other old business? Did I miss anything? Okay. New business, tree ordinance. I want to thank Jeannie for getting that letter going. I looked at it over and I sent you guys a revised copy, and I think we should, support any ordinances and support towns looking to get ordinances. And also encourage the public in our watershed to plant trees. I think that's real important. So I made some, changes to that. The meat and potatoes that Jeannie dug up, I left in there. There's a few things I took out because I thought the theme, we really need to keep it to one page. I think there's some comments I had emailed to me about typos and things like that. And I think we corrected those. But the big thing was, I think we put an ad in the paper and put this in the paper and send it in for a letter to the editor in the paper. And each of us can take this document, which can be approved by us tonight, and use it for our town meetings and organization, tree organizations, shade tree organization, environmental commissions and such that your towns have. If you need help from me and my environmental commission people, I can hook you up with those people. I don't want to give those names and phone numbers out to anyone, but I'll get permission from them to share that information. And I think they could be a great resource. The other thing on the modification, we have the Ocean Township Monmouth County link to the current ordinance that Ocean changed. And it's a lot better than we had. We were allowed to cut 4 trees down anytime in a year and then come back next year and cut 4 more trees. And if you had a small tree, you can cut them all down. So there's a lot more restrictions. Some people don't like it. There's a lot of public that hate the ordinance, that think we should have no ordinance at all. And that's basically what we have. But we also had clear cutting. It's happened in Ocean. It's happened in my backyard. It's happened in Jeannie's backyard, in her front yard. Neighbors don't like trees. They don't like leaves. But they don't understand how much trees mean not only to themselves and their community, but to the lakes and the birds and the animals and the fish and all that. It's a circle of life that's being missed.
So Dawn, about I wrote the letter and then I saw that you made some changes, but who is the audience for this? I mean, originally it was written for the mayor and council for each town. It does not yet have have a tree ordinance. Are you changing it to go to other?
I think we need. Yeah, I think it's going to go to everybody. I mean, the public too. It's going to go to the public, and if they have places to put trees, let them put trees in.
They are not. I mean, the town council and mayor are the ones who enact ordinances, not.
I believe the tone of this letter of support for ordinances and trees should do that. I believe it should be I spent a year and a half with Ocean Township Environmental Commission battling for a tree ordinance. It was torture. It takes time. This commission is not going to change any minds. We can help. Commissioners can help the town get there. But
my intention in writing the letter and when I brought it up last month was not to, like you say, change people's minds, but to support them should they consider, to first point out what trees do that help them. And then, but really they're the ones that write the ordinances. So I think that
Exactly. So that's what it's titled: Deal Lake Trust, Deal Lake Watershed Residents and Municipalities. It's just not cities.
So we're not going to send it to the mayor and council? I mean, that
No,
was,
I disagree with that. I don't think it should go to the mayor and council. It can by each of us bringing it to him. If Bruce wants a tree ordinance and thinks it's good, he brings it to his mayor and talks to the town council about it.
well, I think I'm just going to go back to the, the original statement that I made last week. It was to write a letter of support for a tree ordinance in each of the towns we represent who don't yet have one. And, the purpose of that is to try and get a tree ordinance passed. Not that we're telling them to do it, but just that we support that. And we've seen a town recently do it. And we're glad they did. And they've also included that 50-foot buffer. If we start I personally feel that it's more important if the Deal Lake Commission itself sends a letter to the mayor and council, it has more weight. Just coming from the council coming from the commission to the council with that kind of support for tree ordinances in the town. That was where what I spoke to last week. Now I hear you're talking about something else. And, if you want to write a letter in a different kind of letter for other kinds of things.
It's the same thing. It's the same thing.
Gene,
one sec. Is there anybody else who'd like to jump in here and any other?
Don, I'll jump in. So, looking at this, things don't get done unless you have grassroots support. If you don't have residents on board, so I see this letter as informing residents to the importance of it. And then they go to their representative, which is the town council, saying, we see a benefit for this. We'd like to have some action. Otherwise, why would any town council do anything if nobody is interested and not pushing for it?
Well, I agree you have to have support, but this letter isn't so much, it's not like you do one or the other. We can do both, So this letter was to send something out to the council and mayor. And then if we want to begin to do some kinds of promotion for tree ordinances through our shade tree commissions and so forth, that's a different kind of that's something else, and so that's fine. But this letter that I wrote it with the intent of the audience being council and mayor, and then we can help to drum up support in other ways. I think that we should be doing that too. So I agree with you.
My 10 years that we ever told the mayor what to do.
There was not at all. There's nothing in there that even implies telling anybody what to do.
But we recommend all these things in the letter. It's the same intent. It's just that it could be, we're broadcasting it, and we could, like I said, we could put an ad in the paper. We could put in the letter to editor. We can also hand carry it. You as commissioner can hand carry it to your council and about the importance of this. And it could be along with Tom Plavinsky. I mean, you've got a great shade tree commission.
I have a suggestion.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this is a pretty broad tree ordinance. It applies to all trees within the town. Not all trees within the town necessarily affect the lake. I mean, I can't believe that a tree on Ocean Avenue is affecting the lake, or if it is so marginally. I really think that what our focus should be, if we're going to do something as a commission, is pushing this 50-foot buffer zone or some buffer zone. A letter to the towns about that in particular, I think would be very effective because A, it addresses what our interests are directly, and B, it's really very restrictive. When you're telling somebody, well, you can only cut three trees down, and the guy's got a piece of property with 1,000 trees, and it's his property, and he wants to get some sunlight in his home, you're going to have some real pushback on that. I don't think you're going to have that pushback. I don't think you're going to have that kind of pushback if we restrict it to a 50-foot buffer where we're saying, okay, just don't cut trees down along the shoreline without getting a permit to do so, or some other restrictions that we might deem appropriate. That's my.
I believe that that's already covered by the state laws. That people are not allowed to cut.
That may be so, but if you put it in an ordinance, then you have the police power of the municipality behind you. The state doesn't come around and enforce that kind of stuff. We all know that.
Well, I
Well,
know.
I
They don't.
agree with you, Bruce. I think, from that perspective, DEP, their interpretation of vegetation clearing is a lot different than I think what you guys are trying to formulate in this tree, or some type of support for a tree ordinance. So I agree, DEP, they may look the other way on some of this stuff that we feel that's really relevant. And we're running into that same problem all the time. The towns don't have the ability, because they don't have the ordinance, to enforce some of those actions. So yeah, I agree with you on that. I don't think it usurps any of DEP's power. And, New Jersey's a home rule state anyhow. So I don't see a problem with that.
Yeah, I guess what I'm thinking about is, are you talking about then just specifically writing an ordinance that has to do with lakefront trees? Is that what you're talking about? Or because I thought that most of us agreed, whether we think that, a tree a block or two away from the lake doesn't affect the lake. I personally feel that all trees are affecting the entire environment all the time. So that's.
I know, but we're not the EPA. We're the deal.
No, I know, but I'm just saying that, is that what you're looking at? You're thinking that rather than talk about encouraging towns to develop a tree ordinance, asking them to be supportive of that we are only talking about lake trees? That's
Okay.
it?
So let me put this in perspective. Okay. Don, you want this letter to go to the towns, to the mayors, to the commissions, etc. Don felt that was a little bit overbroad, that we would be effectively trying to usurp the role of the town, the mayor, the commission. My suggestion is, let me finish now, please. My suggestion is something that's in between. It's a compromise. Our role is the Deal Lake Commission. I don't think it's a problem to send a letter to the towns about the trees that directly affect the lake. If you want to go beyond that and hand carry a letter encouraging a tree ordinance, that's fine. I mean, we can all do that. There's nothing preventing that. But if we're going to do it as a commission and we're going to send a letter to the actual towns and we're going to implore the mayor and the commissioners of the town to pass an ordinance, I think we should be within the scope of what we are, which is the Deal Lake Commission, and restricted to that 50-foot barrier. I'm just suggesting it as a compromise. I wasn't involved in the discussion last time, Jeannie. I don't know what it was, but this is my suggestion of a compromise between the suggestion that we all hand carry it and not send something to a town, or we send something to a town. If we send this to a town, we're within our purview, we're within our authority, we're within what the towns expect us to be involved with, not suggesting we got to regulate the trees down on Ocean Avenue when it's in Allenhurst when it's nowhere near the lake. That's all I'm suggesting.
Yeah, I hear what you're saying. So then we're going to be writing a different letter because it's not about a tree ordinance. It's now about trees along the lake, right? I mean, I don't know.
I'm not saying what it's about. All I'm doing is suggesting.
Yeah, no, I hear you. I just think, it is a different letter. It's a different emphasis.
Oh, it's a different letter. Yes, it's definitely a different letter. But Don is against this, and I understand it. When you're a broad tree ordinance is affecting, and it may tangentially affect the lake. It may tangentially affect the environment, but that's not what our role is. Our role is to protect the lake, not to protect the environment as a whole.
Right. Yeah, I get it. Okay, well, when I brought it forth last month, most people seemed to agree with that. That's why I wrote the letter that I did. And then, I included that emphasis about Ocean Township's tree ordinance and the provision regarding the trees to be removed or not located in a wetland, that whole period, that whole part of their 9-2.7 permit approval for trees along the lake.
Hey, Bruce,
The 50-foot buffer zone.
you want to help us take this on for for the next.
Yeah, I mean, I remember writing a tree ordinance years
I
ago.
think you did. I think I may have it, Bruce.
Well,
Let me
that's-
just, I think I sent you a Word document. If you could just chop it up and see what you come up with, that'd be great.
Hey, Don, does any
So-
town have tree ordinance other than Ocean?
Ocean,
Yeah.
Lock Harbor's working on one. And I believe Interlake. and Asbury.
Interlaken. Yeah, Interlaken has one.
I don't think they have the 50-foot buffer involved,
No,
but it's well known in their town. I know Peter has been in conversation recently on acquisition of a piece of property, and that piece of property discussed a 50-foot buffer, and the price dramatically went down to that piece of property, as I recall. So,
Well, that's another thing too. If we do this, we have to let realtors know, we have to let potential home buyers know, et cetera, et cetera. You can't be chopping the trees down along the lake.
well, in the brochure that Jeannie made up, that is true. That's in there. So we got that.
Okay, well, right, but it doesn't necessarily have the backing of an ordinance, which is a different thing. So
Correct.
anyway,
Yeah, and Ocean has that, so it's a good. Your view now can be protected, Bruce. Right?
Yeah.
Okay.
yeah, well,
So we'll revisit next month again, or
okay, well, I'll talk further. Jeannie, I'll talk further offline.
yeah, I'd be happy to talk with you.
I worked very hard, and I'm sorry that.
No, that's okay. It's what's important is that we get something that's useful, I think. So whatever it is, I just thought that everybody was pretty much in agreement on getting, we all felt that a tree ordinance is a good thing to have in all the towns. And the 50-foot buffer is mentioned in the letter as being something we'd like to see included. Not that I didn't say we'd like to see included. We just happen to think that's a good thing because it does address the lake.
there's a reason the 50-foot buffer's in there. So
Yeah, so kind of in connection, if I could take a minute to just speak about this for a second. I know that in the process of doing this, I had wanted to. I had initially spoken with Steve, asking if he thought that was a good idea. And I thought he had expressed that, yeah, it was appropriate. But so I was wanting to get some help with that section of the letter where you kind of give the reasons for why you want to have a tree ordinance and what ways trees help. And what I got met with then when I wrote to Steve was, Don, you had said, the chair said, for Steve to stand down. And this left me stymied. I explained why I wanted that input. And this I know will come up again, Bruce, if we work on this together. Sometimes we need help from our experts. And fortunately, unlike other commissions, we happen to have 2-3 excellent consultants. So anyway, I find this very frustrating, this experience of asking for help, going and working on something and then being told, Steve's told to stand down. You can't.
He was told to stand down by me specifically, and I'll tell you why. Everybody why. Because we had the ability, me, had the ability to write that letter. I have basic information. All that information I can Google. Steve could just review it. And it was very basic information. I know that as a Boy Scout, as an environmental kind of guy, I knew those things. And Steve knows them too. I mean, but he would review the letter after we got done. I asked you specifically at that meeting on tape to send me the draft. And
I did.
We talked to Steve, and would save a dramatic amount of time. So that's.
I did that. I did send you the first draft.
That's the reason, and it's on tape. So.
But I did send you the draft, but what
That's not correct. You sent it to everybody, and I asked you specifically to send it to me before you sent it out because I had strong. I know a lot. I mean, I could help you. It would be
okay. I got help from a dendrologist, but anyway. But this is one incident, right? But this is sort of a regular thing that you say that every time we want to communicate with the consultants, we have to funnel it through you. And in my experience with this last project, where I spent a lot of time to develop the guide, that becomes, I feel that that is something that really becomes an obstruction, rather than an aid. And I believe that commissioners can make decisions about what kind of things are considered acceptable use of the consultant's time. And I certainly feel that I don't overstep. I hope I don't. I've never been seen that I have, or heard that I have. When I'm working on something, I want to be able to, to get help if I need it, and to know how much time am I allowed to ask for professionals' help. I think we all would run up against that anytime anybody's going to try and work on any projects, whether it be a letter or a guide or a workshop, whatever. We would need to know that if we could get consultant help with our work. So, so I'm just, that's become an issue for me. And I don't know why we're in this loop of always being told, oh, it has to go to you, Dawn. And then, you don't always communicate it. You stop the communication.
With all due respect,
One second.
these are protocols that we should be discussing offline. It's not
Exactly.
really
This is-
appropriate for this meeting.
This
This should not be aired with the public. If this is something you want to have a separate meeting about, let's do that.
I think we should. I think we should have a workshop on that. I would like, yeah.
There's other people who'd like to talk, I believe. Hunt, can you?
Yeah, there
say
were,
on
Gene,
this subject?
Don, may I just say something, please,
Sure.
just so the commissioners understand? I have a business. I represent 60 municipal clients. Some of them have 9-member planning boards. Some of them have 3 members board of commissioners. Some of them have 6-member mayor and council. I'm not taking phone calls from every person I represent, or I will never get any work done. So what Don is saying to you, Jeannie, is just follow the proper channels and we will get things done. You can't overstep your bounds and you can't contact us directly, or we won't have any money left in our budget to get the work done that we have to get done. That's all. Easy as that. And really, these things shouldn't go to the mayor and council because they're only going to send them to the commission that regulates what the ordinance represents. Send it to the regulating agency, which in effect is the Environmental Commission or the Shade Tree Commission.
Well, like I said, we did discuss this at the last meeting. I didn't hear that.
Everybody didn't have a chance to voice their opinion because we never get to talk.
Right now, to write a brochure for $500. You can use Steve, but you got $500. He's $175 an hour. So just so you know that. But
I don't know that. I don't know.
now you know. Now you know. He's
Okay,
$175.
now I know. But, those things need to be more clear, I think. And I understand exactly what you're saying, Peter. I would never want to overstep or require the commission to spend more than what is in the retainer agreement, or I don't know how many hours are even in the retainer agreement. So it's really, that's part of the problem. I think those things would be helpful to have some of that clear. So, and I agree with Bruce, these things can be discussed during a workshop. I have said a number of times, I think it would be helpful for us to hold periodic workshops where we can talk.
I have limited time. I'm very busy. Everybody's busy.
We're all busy.
I'm the chairman. I think these questions come to me. I'm very open trying to get the information from professionals. And if we need to get the information from professionals, we'll spend the money. But I believe we have the information among us and on Google. We can Google a lot of stuff. Everything's there. And if it's not there, they're there to verify what we find out. So I think we got to be very cautious about how we spend our money. And we just put these professionals through a lot of work on 2 major proposals. And I'll tell you, I was burnt out. They're probably burnt out. We did a lot of work. So that's why I was so animated about this whole, Cole and Steve. I just didn't want to bother him again. He was working hard.
That's fine. Tell me that. Just tell me that. Don't just tell him stand down. I mean, just tell me. I don't know that. So anyway, like you say, I agree with Bruce.
I think I did tell you.
No.
Anyway, let's move on.
Hey, Don, what can I just say one thing?
Sure.
I mean, it sounds like there's no protocol. I mean, is there a protocol that all the commissioners can have, they can see and they will know?
We could write one up, but here's I did talk to John Everson last week, and he said that's the way we've been doing business for my 10 years, and we've been doing it for the 10 years while he was here. So it's been 20 years, the same process.
You know,
That's why we have the meetings. We have the meetings to make these discussions as a group together, not
Right.
individually.
It's much better talking like this, for sure.
because I don't always feel like I can get the answers during meetings. I don't know about anybody else, but I mean, there are things, you can't write a letter during a meeting. So anyway,
Enough.
so, okay. I just think it's useful to have workshops periodically because there are things that we as a group should be can work on together. And that's the best time to do it, not during meetings. And we haven't had a workshop like this. I can't remember when we had one. Only workshops where we did for the public and educational workshops, and that was not for the commission.
We're going to move on to subject, guys, okay?
Yeah.
Osprey Nest, or the Rotary group is offering to put, work with another group to put Osprey Nest in Asbury Park and by the Sewer Authority. They're in discussions right now. That's Brian Mullins, actually, the Ocean Township alternate commissioner. So I just want to mention that to you. There was a fish stocking last week of this week, I should say, of northern pike. 2,300 fish were put into the lake. I thought that was pretty exciting. And the docks, Bruce, I did not have a time to call the DEP. You have an update on that dock that you were looking at across the lake from you?
Well, I had the opportunity to speak to Randy Bierce from Codlin's management, and found out some things from him. I didn't confirm them by looking at the actual administrative regulations, but Mr. Bierce indicated that because Deal Lake is no longer considered a tidal lake, that all of it falls within the auspices of the DEP, and consequently, the regulations say that you do not need a permit for a dock if the dock is less than 2,000 square feet, believe it or not. He did say, though, that if you want to put a dock in of any size, lower than the 2,000 square feet, you have to apply for a license. He told me that the license was rather ministerial and easy to get, that there were really no requirements, but you had to apply for it, and they're routinely granted. They're not denied for basically any reason, according to him. So with reference to that dock across the way, I did find out, according to him, that there was no license applied for, and there obviously should have been. But I said to him, well, what if we object now? And the way you object is to put in a complaint with the DEP. Mm-hmm. And he said, well, then the guy can just apply for the license and he'll get it. And so it didn't seem like there was really much regulation there. And apparently that dock is fine as long as he goes and pays whatever the $50 or whatever it is for the license. And that's it. Unfortunately, the docks are not well regulated. I know Peter was under the impression that you needed a permit for any dock, but this guy tells me to the contrary. So that's what I found out.
But Bruce, he's not actually correct. Okay. The rules, so that the freshwater wetland, so in terms of the dock itself, okay, yeah. But the supporting, how it's supported, those, if it's like pilings, anything that's, how the dock itself is supported. So there's two rules that regulate that. There's the freshwater wetland rules, and that's going to basically cover what happens between the land and the water, disturbance in that area, okay? And then the flood hazard rules, which you can't put a structure in the floodway if it's going to create more of a flood hazard, okay? So DEP will allow a dock, but it needs to be able to pass the flood waters. Mm-hmm. So there are rules that regulate that. And I think, Peter and I have directed you guys to those rules in the past, but he is right. I mean, the dock itself is something that DEP doesn't regulate, but they regulate how you access the water from the land. And then when you put the pilings or how you support that dock, that's all, if you're going to do something like that, that is regulated.
Well, I have to tell you, I specifically addressed that pilings question to him, and he indicated to me that it's only the size of the dock that matters in terms of whether you need a permit. And the problem is that they're the ones that are regulating it.
Yeah.
So
And he's with Coastal, right? He's with the Coastal Group.
Yeah, that's different.
Steve, he's with Tidelands.
Tidelands Management.
He's
That's
with
what I-
Tidelands now, Steve. He used to be an enforcement guy out of Tom's River. Randy
Right,
lives in Neptune Township. And he's a good
Right.
guy, but he's in
And that's
Tidelands.
where the
you what he
confusion
told me.
is. Right, and that's where the confusion is, because the CAFR rules are definitely different than the freshwater rules. So,
But the issue is, does somebody need to get a permit before doing it? Because that guy's got across the lake, I'm looking at right now, he's got pilings in there. There's no question about it. And that dock is sticking out quite a ways. It's certainly nowhere near 2,000 square feet. But according to what he was telling me, he went up and he looked at it using the drones and all that.
Yeah.
And he said, it is what it is. It doesn't need a permit. That's what he told me. And if they're the enforcement mechanism, I don't know where we're going. Do we want to try to fight this and make people get permits? That's a question that the commission's got to decide. I really don't know what the answer is, since I really don't know the rules. It sounds like a lot better than I do. But if what you're talking about is how you access and all that, well, what are the rules with reference to that? And who's going to enforce them? You know what I mean?
Yeah, I know that it's.
Well, the last time, Don and I have talked about, and with Steve too, having a meeting again with the NJDEP to discuss these kinds of things. So I think, that we need some clarity from them and let them know about our concerns and what you're up against, Bruce.
Yeah, it's gotta be the right
I
people.
thought I got clarity. He was pretty clear.
But I can tell you the Freshwater Wetland Act, there's a general permit 19 for docks and piers.
Right.
It's a regulated activity. That's under the freshwater wetland rules.
Okay.
Yeah.
I'll look up the rule and call him again. Say, yeah, you're wrong. You got to start. I don't know what.
It's on the brochure. The information is there too, that you have for lakefront homeowners.
Hey, Bruce, maybe we'll give them a call together, okay? And maybe we'll get Steve involved. We'll see. We'll
I
feel them out.
Well,
I'm looking at the rules right now. It says the driving of one or more pilings in a state open water, if the piling is not regulated by the Corps of Engineers, which that would be a coastal area, you need a permit for that. Placement of pilings for piers or docks. I'm looking at the rules right now.
Okay. Well, they don't know their own rules then.
Was that an NJDEP person?
That's like a cop that doesn't know what the law is of robbery, and he's arresting people for shoplifting under the robbery statute.
Was the NJDEP that you contacted, Bruce?
Yeah.
Tidelands Management. I think he's part of DEP, isn't he?
The NJDEP.
Yes, he is.
Yeah.
Bureau of Tidelands.
I mean, it's confusing. Admittedly, it's confusing, and Deal Lake is confusing to the regulators because part of it is within, there's a title claim on it, and part of it, there isn't a title claim on it.
Well,
So
he's telling me that there's no title claim anymore because ever since they closed it off, it's no longer titled. That's what he told me. At least they don't consider.
That's wrong. That's not right.
That
Not
is
right.
Oh my
Right.
God.
That's what he said.
So that's why it's time for another talk with them, I think.
But Jeannie, last time we had a talk with them, remember? They were telling us what was title and what was not title in Deal Lake. We discussed the railroad checks and all.
Yeah.
This guy's saying that nothing's title, and that's wrong too. So
Nice.
every bit of information, Bruce, don't call him anymore, Bruce. Everything he told you was wrong.
Well, he's the guy. He's the guy whose name that I got from the brochure. I called the brochure number. They gave me his name. He's
I
the
told you
expert.
the brochure doesn't work.
He knows.
Frustrating.
Listen, these are the people that your taxpayer dollars are supporting.
Well,
They're the state
You know,
representative.
may I just say this? We're the commission, we represent 7 municipalities. So maybe, we're the only ones that can really have this kind of communication with them to try to get some of this straightened out. We have to try anyway, is what I think. I don't know. What do you
Right.
think? Is it worth doing, Peter and Steve? Or is it just forget it, give up on them because they're useless? I don't.
Well, no, but the issue is, do we regard the docks as something that is of import to us? Don saw that beautiful dock over there. And he said, well, boy, I love it when people use the lake. And I get it. The guy, that's a great dock. You could put some nice boats over there. That guy's he can have barbecue out there. And everything.
But what else did I say? He had to cut trees down to do that.
Well, that you got mad at. You didn't
Right.
like those trees coming down.
No, it can't.
And that's part of the problem there. Okay, so DEP doesn't say you can't have a dock. It says you can have a dock if you meet these particular criteria.
Right.
And in certain cases you need to file for a permit. So the problem is, it's not black and white. It's not like it says, oh, if you're putting in a dock, you need a permit. That's not necessarily the case. It depends on how that dock is being constructed, how you transition from the land to the water. So it's not like a black and white situation.
But when you come down here one day, Steve, take a look at that dock. If you ever get down here, and the way it's transitioning from the land to the lake, it comes down. There's a set of aluminum stairs going right down the embankment onto the dock. So I'm not, there's your transition. I'm not sure if that's what you're talking about.
And that's it. And the DEP says you can't disturb more than 1/10 of an acre of freshwater wetlands or transitional areas or state open waters, to construct a dock.
Well, I don't know if that makes. But the question is anybody going to enforce it? Are we, if they give them the permit, if they're going to give them the permit anyway, what are we doing? We're spitting into the ocean, Yeah. So
no, I agree with you. And that's why our recommendation has been, if you're doing any type of activity in the water or on the water's edge, go to the DEP and file for a jurisdictional determination. Find out, here's what I want to do. Is this a regulated activity or am I good to go? And then you get a letter, you get a jurisdictional determination then that states you're good to go. Or you get a letter back that says, hey, you need to file for this permit or that permit, So
well, the truth is that this guy was told, because I told him, and I know he went to Don, right, Don?
Well,
right.
He was told to go to talk to the DEP before he did anything like that. And according to the DEP guy, there was no license and there was no permit applied for. Now, who knows? Maybe he didn't look it up carefully. I don't know for sure.
Or he showed, or the guy showed, to DEP what, you proposed to do, and DEP looked at it and says, you're good to go. You don't.
But he still needed a license, according to this guy. He still would have.
He needed a permit, right?
No, a license. A license. Anyway.
Well, I said this before. My suggestion, and I thought that at one time we were going to do this. So I say we move on that, make another appointment with the enforcers and speak to them about these issues and let them know what's going on. See if we can get some cooperation from them.
Well, I think Don had a good suggestion. We should probably have a discussion with this guy, with Steve present. If we can't hash it out, then maybe go further and have a meeting, to go the next step, talk to this person's supervisor or whomever to try to get to the bottom of it. If it's something that we think is important enough to do. Right, Don?
It's more than docks too, though, Bruce. So, there are a number of things that we have concerns about and that we see, Don's brought them up.
We have 2 violations that we don't know about yet. They gave violation notices. We don't know the penalties yet. So we'd like to know about that too. So but that was a different group of people that Bruce was talking to. He's
Yeah.
talking to the guy that actually validated and recommends okays for docks, I believe, right, Bruce?
All I know is he's with Title Lands Management, and yes, he told me that no, he didn't tell me that he actually does the approval or not. He just told me what they had to do. So maybe he did, but he didn't tell me that, and I didn't ask that question directly, to be frank with you.
Okay. All right.
Right.
Let's open it up to the public, guys.
You don't want to do commissioner's last word?
Oh, I'm sorry. Yes, do commissioners, right. Let's start with Jeannie.
Well, I said what I had to say. I just, in terms of that, I understand Peter's point. I have always respected the time of the professionals, and but I also believe that it would be helpful if I knew, and I think for all the commissioners, if we knew what's acceptable use of and how much time we can ask for. That would be useful in trying to get projects done where I do need, not everything is a Google search. I want to be precise. When I did the guide, Steve was invaluable for the input that he gave. It wasn't something I could really do a Google search on it. We're putting something out to the public. I want to be accurate. So sometimes I'm going to ask for help I want to be able to ask from the consultants, and I want to know how much time can I be allotted for this? That would be helpful to me.
And that was allocated, the money was allocated for that, and you used it, and that was good. But that was allocated back then. We paid for that. Steve billed for that.
You did bill for that?
I think so.
Yeah, that's part of, that's part
But it
of
was
what I
okay.
did.
We agreed
Wait,
with it.
it's different. It was part of your retainer. That it wasn't an additional fee, right? Because
It wasn't right. It was part of my annual services to the commission.
But
Correct.
we approved
okay,
it.
that's what I'm talking about.
We approved that.
Okay, let's
That's the
move on.
key.
Yeah, I know.
Let's get your minute. I'm sorry. Steve, you're up.
Sue, Steve, me?
Okay.
Steve Merlin.
I just think, if we have a standard operating procedure or protocol about who's able to do what without overstepping one's boundaries, like when you're working in a corporation, that'll make things clear to everybody of what they can and cannot do.
Okay.
Bruce?
Yeah, on the same point. I mean, I know that we're commissioners and we're supposed to have autonomy, but in my opinion, when you have, these guys get paid. If you have a question about it, just funnel it through Don. He sort of channels everything. I don't know what the problem is with that. The other thing is that I wanted to say was I was going around the lake, and over on the southeast corner of the lake, there is some beautiful wildflowers over there in Asbury Park. Is that part of a rain garden over there? On the southeast area of the lake in Asbury Park down in the ocean? There's a whole row of wildflowers.
Asbury Park did that, Bruce.
Yeah.
Wonderful. Absolutely beautiful. And Asbury Park is to be commended for that because it just looks great as you go around the lake and see that wonderful foliage of those beautiful wildflowers, purple and yellow. It's just fabulous. Kudos to Asbury and Jeannie for that because it's great.
Marco?
Hi, we are working on a tree ordinance and looking up local towns that already have them in place to see what they're doing. And I know for a fact you don't need to write them a letter. It's fine. We're on it, and they want to do it. So,
Great. Yeah.
and it does take a long time to get done. So,
And Margot, you can also reach out to to ANJAC, the Association of New Jersey Environmental Commissions. They do have, like ordinances that have been prepared, like model ordinances. And
Okay.
that might be, that might be some, assistance. So if, your town is a member of ANJAC, that's all free. That's part of your annual dues to ANJAC.
Okay, thank you.
Okay,
Eric, I guess. I don't know.
who's there? Anybody else there?
Eric is there.
Yeah,
Eric?
yeah. Well, this is tree related. About a week ago in my yard, behind my Hinoki cypress, I had this tall tree growing. It was spiky and had a bunch of leaves on it. And I cut it down. And I said, wow, that is the tree of heaven. And I was at an event the other night, and I was in this woman's yard up in Hillside, and I was looking at the tree, and I said, that looks like the tree of heaven there. She had a deck that was pretty high. And this tree probably was 30 feet tall. And I grabbed a hold of the branch to pull the leaves over, and I looked at it, and it was full of the nymphs from the spotted lanternfly.
Mm.
So I'm going to invite everybody to your yard, because that's tree of heaven grows like a weed, and it can grow up to 8, 10, 15 feet in 1 year. And that is one of the life cycles of the spotted lanternfly. And I asked that woman, I said, do you have a problem with the spotted lanternfly? She goes, oh, yeah, I do. I said, well, I looked around her yard. She probably had 8 of those trees growing in her yard. She didn't even know it. I said, you should go around your yard and get rid of all those trees, because, that is that's one of the problems. But these things grow like weeds. So, hey, all you have to do is really Google the tree of heaven, look at it, and then go around your yard if you have a lot of trees. I mean, that it was growing within my golden Hinoki, and grows so much. So it's something worth looking into.
Thank you. That's interesting.
Thank you, Eric. Let's go open the public meeting, Josie.
A motion to open the meeting to the public?
So moved.
Second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Opposed? Okay, meeting is open.
Okay, anybody in the public?
Sure.
James, go ahead.
Okay, thank you. Well, first of all, I'm the recent addition to the Shade Tree Commission in Ocean.
Congratulations.
Thank you very much. I'm very proud to join them, and I'm very disappointed that the Deal Lake Commission doesn't take the ocean ordinance and send it to the councils and the mayors. Now, of course, the councils and mayors will do what they want to do. That's for certain. But I think that the Deal Lake Commission should recognize that trees all over a community ultimately affect the lake. And that we should send this ordinance to the mayors and the council so they know, here's a recent ordinance that's been adopted. And this township occupies about 40% of the shoreline for the entire lake. So maybe you should consider joining this process. I agree with the commissioner from Asbury that there's nothing wrong with doing two things at the same time. You could write that letter to the councils and the mayor, and then you could send another letter to the public encouraging the public to go to the councils and the mayor to get behind this. That's one thing. The other thing is this discussion about the access to the consultants. I don't know how much Dr. Souza weighs, but I suspect he's worth his weight in gold. His comments are on target. I've seen his work in the NALM magazine. I've seen the stuff he's done, the stuff he's written. And I don't see any reason why any commissioner shouldn't be able to call him. Now, if a commissioner like Mr. Vaki, a consultant is too busy to take the phone call, doesn't take the phone call. But I am concerned about another thing. I have Dr. Souza's scope of work and his contract. It talks about educational material, and it talks about providing services. It doesn't talk about grant writing at all. But presentations and educational material are included within the SOW. So I would I'm not concerned about the money, but I think it's inappropriate that we have a contract. Dr. Souza and Hydro are being paid by taxpayers, but the commissioners don't even see the charges on a monthly basis. I think they should see the charges, and let's see if in fact it's Mr. Bracco that's occupying all the time, as opposed to individual commissioners. So I think we need more transparency. I think the contract should be online.
No, we're not.
And I think that the bills submitted by each of the consultants should be available at least to the commissioners, if not online. Now, that's standard operating procedure for most municipalities that have contracts with people who operate on retainer, like lawyers. You get to see how they're spending their time. So I would urge the DLC to send that letter to the mayors and the council, but also let's open up this process so we can see who's occupying whose time, the time that we're all paying for. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Anybody else from the public? Okay. I guess close public discussion.
A motion to close the public hearing?
So move.
Second,
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Opposed? I mean, a motion to adjourn the meeting?
So move.
Second,
Second.
Second.
all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Thank you.
Okay, see you next month.
Night, everybody.